You ever have one of those moments where you're just standing in your own driveway, minding your business, and suddenly you're a criminal? Because that's where I found myself, right, as the sun dropped behind the trees, red and blue lights strobing across the lake. My wife frozen in place with a new lock in one hand and a screwdriver in the other, looking like she'd just stolen the Mona Lisa. Across from her, Lorraine, our very own HOA, Karen, was shrieking in her phone for the cops, clutching a clipboard like it was a holy relic. "She's breaking in. This is HOA property," she kept yelling. But it wasn't. It was ours. The gate, the cabin, the whole stretch of land, paid for fair and square. And I swear to you, we hadn't even met Lorraine when we bought the place. We just wanted quiet. It started like these things do, small, and Laura moving into the cabin, thinking maybe we'd finally caught a break, a little peace by the lake. First time Lorraine showed up, she skipped hello, skipped the neighborly welcome, and went straight for, "You can't park there. You're breaking Rule 12 Section C." That binder of hers had more bookmarks than a lawyer's Bible. But hey, I try to see the good in people, thought maybe she just loved order. Turned out, Lorraine loved power, and she was about to show us how much. We tried everything, brought cookies to the HOA meeting, offered to help with the dock, even made small talk about her dog's haircut. Didn't matter. She'd already decided we were the enemy. And the trouble started ramping up. Scratch marks on our brand new gate lock, then anonymous letters, fines for nonsense like unauthorized flag size and improper fire pit distance. She even called animal control on Duke, our old golden retriever who barely musters the energy to bark at a squirrel, let alone bite someone. It was personal, and it got ugly quick. So, when Laura went out to swap the lock again alone, just trying to keep us safe, I was picking up groceries, not thinking anything about it. But Lorraine must have been watching, just waiting for her chance to play queen. She came barreling down in her golf cart, binder waving, screaming about community property, and threatening to call the cops. And call she did. 8 minutes later, sirens blaring, the whole circus rolled up. I made it back just in time to see an officer telling Laura to drop the screwdriver while Lorraine grinned like she'd won a game show. But then, Lorraine took it up a notch, told the cop my wife was a squatter. You ever hear something so ridiculous you want to laugh and scream at the same time? Laura tried to explain, but the deed was in my name, and Lorraine pounced on that. But here's the twist. I'd save an official property map on my phone, just in case. I show the cop our land, our gate, clear as day. Lorraine turned beet red, sputtered about community precedent, but the officer sided with us and sent her packing. But you know, people like Lorraine don't quit. The next day, a letter from the HOA, $500 fine for unauthorized changes to community access. Laura just shook her head. They're doubling down, so we decided it was time to dig for the truth. That's when things got real. Rick, my buddy at a real estate law firm, dug up records and told us Lorraine hadn't even been the legal HOA president for 2 years. Every notice, every fine, pure fiction. Meanwhile, neighbors started acting cold, crossing the road when we walked by, or just staring from windows like we had the plague. Then, in the middle of the night, someone tried to cut our gate with bolt cutters, caught them on camera, caught their license plate as they peeled out. This wasn't HOA drama, Anna Maria, it was a threat. The sheriff's deputy said as much. This is intimidation, not enforcement. That same week, we got a late-night visit from Mr. Whitmore, a quiet old man 3 cabins down, who dropped a thick envelope on our table. Old meeting notes, fake votes, checks to Lorraine from a private security firm. "She's not the real boss," he whispered, "but she's the face." And the rest of the board? All in her pocket, scared or bought off. Turns out, the plan was to push out anyone who wouldn't play ball and snap up their property on the cheap. Suddenly, it all clicked: the threats, the vandalism, the fake rules. But just as Whitmore warned us to be careful, things escalated again. Someone killed our power, cut the lines, and just as Laura was calling 911, we spotted 2 guys with gas cans sneaking up on the gate. They tried to set it on fire, but bolted when Laura triggered the car alarm. The deputies came, dusted for prints, but said it would take time to pin anything on Lorraine without more evidence. And then the real twist: Mr. Whitmore was dragged from his porch by masked men. We caught it on our security feed, and I sprinted through the woods to help, adrenaline drowning out the fear. Laura followed. Cops arrived just in time, but the men escaped. Whitmore told the officers about a safe in his shed original HOA documents, proof that our property was never part of Lorraine's domain. But by sunrise, his shed was a pile of ashes. Someone tried to erase everything, but a fireproof box survived with a flash drive, videos, emails, everything. And right as we breathed out, someone nailed a squirrel to our front door with a note. Turn it in, and we'll turn you in. This was war. The mob came next, literally. Torches at the gate, neighbors we used to wave at, faces flickering in the firelight, all of them following Lorraine, who was waving her binder and demanding to search our property for stolen HOA documents. We were trapped, no phones, no internet, until I remembered the satellite phone stashed in the attic. I called the sheriff direct. We better get here fast. There's an angry mob with torches at our door. Cops showed up like a cavalry charge, broke up the crowd, put Lorraine in cuffs, and just when we thought it was over, she pulled a smoke bomb, vanished into the woods, and left us shaking. Even with the evidence, the tension hung heavy. Next morning, a new note. She's not alone. That old paranoia crawled back. Then, a new face in our story. Arthur Kellerman, founder of Whispering Pines HOA, showed up in our shed with a tape. She did it to me first, he said. Push me out, fake documents, build a network. He handed us a cassette, her confession from back in 2001. Get it to the Attorney General, he said, then vanished into the woods. That night, our cameras caught more men sneaking around, this time flying a drone. They weren't just trying to scare us anymore, they were looking for something or someone. When Arthur's truck turned up abandoned and the tape went missing, we thought we'd lost everything until Laura found a backup taped under the sink. As we sat down to play it, the TV flickered on by itself, Lorraine's face filling the screen. You think this is about a cabin? Oh no, darling. This is about the whole lake. That's when it really hit. Lorraine's game was so much bigger. Fake companies, phony preservation groups, secret deals to build a private resort on public land. We listened to Arthur's tape blueprints, names, every trick she'd pulled to force people out and cover her tracks. So we went after the last piece, her safe house on the south end of the lake. Broke in under cover of darkness, found files, blueprints, all of it, just as Lorraine showed up herself, taser in hand. She zapped me good, Laura fought her off, Duke came barreling in, and then another gun in the room. It was Tom, the neighbor, pistol shaking in his hands. She promised me my daughter's college tuition, he said. Sirens screamed up the drive, deputies stormed in, and suddenly it was over. Lorraine and Tom in cuffs, the scheme exposed, the land deal dead in the water. Weeks later, the lake was quiet again. No more threats, no more fires, just peace. But every so often, Laura will look out at the trees, worry in her eyes, and whisper she's not alone. And every time, I remind her, neither are we. So if you're watching this, tell me, where do you stand? Ever had a run-in with an HOA? Or I know someone who went too far with a little bit of power? Drop your story below, because maybe the only way to beat this stuff is to shine a little light on it. And if you ever find yourself on the wrong side of a clipboard, just remember, sometimes the only thing standing between you and a mob is the truth, a loyal dog, and a locked gate.